Hey guys, in this video example we're going to talk about one of the coolest new features in the interface builder, and that is how we handle searching by category. Before we show you how to search by category in the interface builder, one of the first things we're going to do is look at how we've got these categories set up. We've got a pretty basic example put together here, and you'll see a list of categories. We've got them grouped by a category group, and that includes groups called location type, products, and services. So for location type, those are our outlets, retail locations, wholesalers. For products, that's a list of products that each one of these locations stocks. So outerwear, skis, snowboards. And then some of these locations also have services available, including fitting, tuning, and waxing. And so not all locations have all products and services, and obviously not all locations are all types of locations. And so we want to allow people to search for this information in the locator, and we'll show you how to do that. And the way that you do that is using the category search field. And so most of our templates include this automatically, and by default it's very simple. It simply shows a drop-down list of categories. But if you expand it, you can see it has a number of options, and in this video we're going to dive into what those options mean. So just kind of starting from the top, the first option is the display type. So how do you want to display your categories? Well, you have two options here, drop-downs and checkboxes. So if I switch to checkboxes, notice we have three groups of checkboxes. The system already knows that we have category groups, and it breaks our categories out into those groups and organizes the checkboxes accordingly. Notice Show As indicates labeled groups, and that's my only option under checkboxes. If I switch to drop-downs, we've got a number of interesting options. By default, it's just one drop-down that has a list of all your categories. And so one thing you might want to do is introduce groups within that drop-down. So notice I changed Show As to one group drop-down. When I do that, now I have these group names listed out here. And so that allows the user to see quickly, okay, what type of category am I dealing with? And so that allows the user to see that easily. The next option that we'll talk about is multiple drop-downs by category group. And so now we have one drop-down created for every category group that we have. So now I can search by location type, I can search by products, I can search by services. Now you might ask, what if I only want to allow people to search by products or just search by services? Or maybe I want products to be checkboxes and I want services to be something else. The way that you can do that is by adding the category field more than once to your search form. So follow me as I do this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this first one back to one drop-down so we don't end up with too many drop-downs. And I'm going to add a field again, and under field name I'm going to choose category. And go ahead and click add. Now I've got category in there twice. I'm just going to sort this by dragging it and moving it over, and this layout right now has them both listed twice. Now what I'm going to do is update this so that the first one shows as checkboxes, for example, but I'm also going to filter this one to just the location type category group. And so now notice I've got a list of checkboxes, but they're only shown for the location type. And now I can drill into the other one, and I can say that I want to show this as a grouped drop-down, but I only want to show products and services. And so now that gives me this layout: skis, outerwear, snowboards, waxing, tuning, and fitting. And then of course I can just remove this other one if I only want to show products and services as one group drop-down. And so the ability to add categories multiple times to the search form really enhances your ability to control how individual types of categories are displayed. So make heavy use of the group name filter and the display type in order to arrange this. So let's move a little bit down the road here and talk about the placeholder. So right now it defaults to please select. That's this text right here. What I can do is instead change that to choose products. And as I make that change, that updates automatically. The other thing I could do though is I could provide a label. It's nice to stick with one consistent element, that is a placeholder or a label. Personally, I prefer labels because they don't go away when somebody types something in here. So in this example, I'm going to add a label for products and services. And let's get rid of that placeholder. And now I've got a drop-down list for products and services. And so for users who have a pro and higher account and you want to really customize this even further, you can click this little pencil icon. What that will do is it'll bring up the template that was used to actually create this drop-down. So this requires a little bit of programming experience, and again, this is only for folks who have really extensive needs for customizing this. But notice you can get right into the markup and change how the system displays on a very granular basis. And then once you do that, you can actually override some of these choices, like placeholder and tooltip, for example, in that custom layout. So by adding multiple categories to the search form, that allows you to control how they display and which categories are displayed in the search form. The next thing you might want to do is control how the categories output in the results. Right now we've got this default category layout that shows wholesaler, skis, outerwear, waxing, tuning, fitting. Say for example I don't want to show the location type, and maybe I want to show this list a little bit differently. Right now we've been working within the search settings. In this example we're going to move down to the results settings. We're particularly interested in this list. Notice that's the yellow column that's highlighted here. If I expand the list and I scroll down, you'll see one of my options here is category list. That highlights the list of categories for each one of these locations. And notice it varies by location because this displays the categories that are specific to that location. If I expand the category list, I can see some options. And again, these options right now are preset to the defaults chosen when the designer created this template. So I'm going to remove, for example, this custom category dot list class. That's the one that put the little dot in between each one of these pieces. I'm also going to remove this little tags icon. And I'm just going to look at a couple of the other pre-made templates that came along with this category list. So I have the default, but then I also have this badges layout, which is pretty cool. It shows them as bootstrap badges. I have groups, which lists them out in terms of their individual groups. And then I have an icon, but I don't actually have icons set for these, so that looks a little bit weird. In the badges example, it happens to be one of my favorites. They're very easy to see. What I wanted to show you is that you can also filter by group name here. So in this case, I'm going to say I just want to show the products and services in this list, and I'm going to output those accordingly. But you can do the same thing that we did with the search form, and you can decide I want to have my products displayed as a badge list. I want to have my services displayed as just a regular bulleted list. And the way that I do that is by adding a field. Again, I'm going to add the category list to this field twice. So now I've got the field in here twice, and just like we did in the search form, I'm going to have one of these be limited to just showing the products that are available, and then the second one I'm going to have customized to show the services available, and those are just going to display in a slightly different way. And so now I've got the services output in a list, and I've got the products listed there. Now I can add a label like this, like services. And I can say something like, these are the services available at this location. And now when I do that, I have a tooltip that's available. And so you can explore these other options like applying certain styles. So for example, I could change like I could change the text to like a bold text, a light text, or even a different color. Services like that. Whatever you feel you need to do in order to push that, in order to make that display the way that you want it to display. But the real power here is the ability to add the field multiple times. A lot of people don't realize you can add the field multiple times and then filter that field accordingly so that you get the display that you want. Hopefully this provides a good amount of information on how to use categories to not only allow users to search, but also to understand the features of each individual location. Thanks for your time.